Alright guys, I'm not sure what happened there, but I'm not sure if the video footage is any good or not, but I was going over how to do a compression test stuff in the car, just went over it. Hopefully that showed up. If not, I'll have to double check the footage. But what we're working on now is I'm making a bracket for the new fuse relay setup from Jose Valle at Kazan Motorsports. He's making me something right now, so he's making me a new wiring setup to make sure everything's okay, because I think those 525 pumps are just pulling just a little too much. The 450s were fine, but it's now with those 525s, they're just pulling a little bit much. So he's gonna upgrade it, and I'll show you guys all that when it gets here. It's a nice sealed unit too, so it's a pretty trick little piece. And if it works for me, then it'll be proven and tested that you guys know you can use it with a 525. And I love how compact it is. That's probably my biggest thing with it, the fact it's compact and that it just, you know, it doesn't have to take up a ton of room, which I think is pretty trick. Please excuse my handwriting here, but working on a fuel relay bracket. I need to clean the glass over there for her car, finish the fuse box harness, which Jose's working on, and I need to put air in the front tires. Fuck, I forgot all about that too, because they're losing air for some reason. The valve stem caps from work for some reason are just slowly leaking, and I don't know why. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that. But here's the metal we're gonna be working with. I've got an aluminum piece, and I've got a steel piece. I think I'm gonna work with the steel one just because it's a little bit more rigid than this. Not much, but it is a little bit more rigid. I think this is what we're gonna work with. Here's the bracket. I need to bolt this down to it like so, and I want to make a spot for the side here because I'm also going to have an area where I can attach some extra wiring. I'll show you guys that here when it gets done, but I want to put this down like there or something like that, drill the holes, and then cut this out because I'll show you where I want it to mount. So got her all cleaned up here for the most part, but come back here, got her on the tender. Need to get a quick, easy way too, without sacrificing anything, without drilling anything, to put this thing on the tender now, which I know some guys then run lines up to the front to do it. I'm just trying to find a good way to put it on the tender from the rear, or just a good way. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. But here's my goal. What I want to do, guys, is I don't want to drill in the body here. I see a lot of guys do that, but once you do that, it's permanent. Kind of like when I had to do this, it's very upsetting to me. But I feel like there's two holes that are good, and I've ripped none of them, and that's going to be it. For this, what I'd like to do is I want to take these bolts out. I'm going to take this cover off here, and I'm going to make a plate. You know, stick the plate under here, have it come out, and then mount it down, have it turned down, and then have the fuse relay box sit right close to this, not rubbing or touching, but close to it. That's the goal. It's not gonna be beautiful, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna do the job that I need to do. I was having it attached right here, just literally off this one nut. So I put the cover on, put all the nuts on except for this one, put that little piece on, and kind of hang off. It looked kind of ghetto, and every time I need to remove it, I had to dick with it, and I didn't like that. So this would keep it off and out of the way at all times, and then anytime I remove this, it was just, I'm removing that and nothing else. Now, a lot of people I've seen in the comments are suggesting, Ryan, why don't you go to a mechanical fuel pump setup? I don't think that's needed. For 99.9% of it's not. And guys are saying like, oh, you should go ahead and do that. And my problem with that is it's going the typical super route, as I call it. Maybe I'm wrong here in saying this, but they're like, oh, this is broken. Might as well do, you know, upgrade this or do that. Well, you're not really fixing the issue. You're just doing something else, and you could still have an issue there because you're going to new uncharted territories. So for me, my idea is fix the problem at hand, because there is a problem and there's a way to fix it. We just got to figure it out. And that's why I like Jose. He's like, let's take a look at this. Can you send me the whole harness back? And let's take a look at it. He's willing to help me out here. Chris Larson of Night Run Garage has been helping me a ton too. Big shout out to him, and thank you to him and Ben. Those guys have been fan-freaking-tastic. So again, we're gonna put a plate and put it there. Here's the wiring. Right now you can see I have it attached over here. What happens is this is the trigger that goes into the AM. These are two wires for the dual pumps, but I don't want to attach it to the foam. I'd rather have it over here. So I'm gonna run the wires over, have this zip tied, and have it over here zip tied together to the plate. I have it like this because I don't just want random wiring hanging around. You can see it's just in the foam. I don't like that. It just looks chintzy. So that's the goal for today. We'll see how this turns out. All right, guys, so here's what I've got so far. I got to adjust a little bit, but you can see I made this plate here, drilled into it. I drilled two holes here and bolted it down underneath. You can see kind of has like a little angle to it because I don't want to remove these mounts here. And people are like, why not? These are actually stiffening braces. That's why it's kind of useless on a Supra to have a rear strut bar, because the rear strut bar goes here, and you already have this giant piece of metal right here, and on top of it you have these braces that then interconnect on both sides. So that's why I was kind of laughed about them, even though I had one myself, because I think they look cool, but they don't really do anything. That being said, what I'm doing here, I need to trim off a little bit more here because I don't need it sitting under here if it's not going to do anything. It's not going to support anything really, and it was just going to squish that some more. So I cut that edge off there, and what I'm going to do here next is come down, bend it down like right about here, have a complete 90 so it sits nice and flush, but it has to come at an angle because of this piece here, if you can see, comes out. So I'm going to push that down by hand a little bit more, get it as close as possible, trim this up here, cut it off again just so it's not rubbing. I don't want it to rub against the metal there if not possible, if possible. So yeah, I think we're pretty close, and time to bend it now. I'm going to put it on the vise and see how it looks. Well guys, I ended up getting the bracket done, painted and everything, but I need to explain something to you here real quick. So first, let's go ahead and pop open the trunk here again. Do that. I hope everyone's being safe during this quarantine time. Let's go ahead and get this up and out. Come on, you bitch. There we go. So here's my little bracket. It would suffice. This is steel, so I had to paint it no matter what. I guess you could have left it, but I just decided to paint it just so it would be done. I drilled holes here for zip ties to hold this up and over like that, so it would hold it there. And then here's your little mounting bracket for Jose's setup. I've used it for probably about 3.5 years, and it was not a problem until these 525s. They seem to be burning up some of the wiring, which doesn't make sense. Because, you know, the sizing and stuff. So we're thinking something came loose over time. So what we've decided to do instead is, because I got 525s, I might go to bigger pumps and all that stuff down the road. He has a new setup we want to test. So this mounting setup I won't be able to use. We're going to try a new setup that he's coming out with that can even handle bigger pumps. It's going to be using 10 gauge wiring in between the pumps. No joke kind of setup. 10 gauge individual wires to the ground here on the battery, and 10 gauge individual power to the battery. So each pump will actually have its own 10 gauge wire, which is insane. So it should be overbuilt. The box itself will be a little bigger too. We're gonna use bigger relays. This is gonna be kind of like a Hercules. I wanna call it, so I wanna give it like a cool name of some sort. Maybe Jose will come up with one. But I wanna call it like the Hercules, or the end all be all. This should take any fuel pump that you ever put in tank. These 525s are massive. I'm trying to think of what else electric pump wise would be like this, but this should be able to take anything we ever put at. So this will actually end up coming out now, so I might just give this to someone else that uses Jose's setup, and they can, you know, mount theirs like that. I'm not sure how anyone else mounts their wiring stuff. Like again, I had it over here, and now I have it like so. So his new one, I'm gonna have to make a new bracket, as it's more of a square box. It's not much larger. I guess it's almost twice the size, which this box you can see here is tiny, so it'd be about this big. Which is still tiny compared to other people's setup. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Sorry for all the talking, but I want to try to explain everything, and I'll show you guys more in detail once that comes in. So unfortunately, that's where we're at for now. Jose is working on it as I speak. He just sent me updated pictures. Maybe I can flip that up for you here and show you what he's working on right now with the grounds and everything. And then he's waiting on one connector and have it sent over. I'll list his website and everything down below for you guys too, if you want to check out his current setups, his wiring harness, and all that stuff. Since I got a little time here too, back to working on the wife's car, trying to clean up my car still. And you're probably like, why is he still here? Everything else is gone now, guys. The fenders, the hood, everything else is off the paint shop. This is the last thing. He's just prepping all that stuff ahead of time. He's got a bunch of other projects going on. Charging up this battery because it's been sitting here. Want to make sure it's charged up. I'm most likely going to sell this in the entire bolt down kit, because if I can be using that one, because I have that Odyssey battery now, so I'm going to use that most likely. So if anyone's interested, I also have a spare tire someone needs to come get. The guy for the tires is coming today. And what else is now in my car? Trying to do furniture. Right out here, what we're doing next is working on this cowl piece. As you can see, it is completely faded and nasty and dirty. So what I need to do is clean it up. You'd see how dirty it is. So what I'm gonna do is use some LA Awesome, which you get at the dollar store, clean this up, and then I gotta figure out how to bring this back to black as best as possible. I'm not sure if I wanna paint it like I did on mine, or how I wanna go about it, just because when I did this on my car, I painted it, and it's actually lasted quite some time now, but it is starting to chip in some spots, so I'm not sure I want to do it too. And you gotta remember, it's not all plastic. It also has this, like, I guess that's hard plastic too in there, but it has this like netting underneath. I guess that's hard plastic too. I just want to make sure that's all gonna stick and stay, and I'm not sure if I use a primer. And then you got to be careful too, because you got this rubber area. You don't want to spray that, which I made a mistake of doing. All right guys, so in the garage here now, it's a little cold, but got this thing mostly cleaned up here. You see how ashy it is now, and there's a couple methods you could go about this, right? And this is where it's a little difficult for me, because there's so many methods. You know, there's the heat method. You're probably wondering what's that, where you use, like, say, a heat gun like that, or a torch. I've seen guys use a torch too, holding it back, and it brings it back to black for a while, and it does last for a little while, but then it starts to fade again too. You're just literally pulling the oils up and out of the plastic to the forefront, but you can only do that so many times so it just gets completely white. You can do that. you can have it ceramic coated. That's another good way of having it coated and last a good while too. I'm looking for a more permanent solution, which is paint. So my goal is here to clean this up using, I got isopropyl alcohol, which apparently this is like gold right now. I just have a bunch of this just that I use for doing car stuff, but I have like 4 or 5 bottles of it just doing this stuff. But apparently people need this right now, so I kind of feel bad. But I use it to clean up all the plastic and prep it for paint here. Now there's still some dirt here I need to scrub off, but I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to mess up the finish here. But I need to get as much dirt, grime, anything I can get off, and then we'll take this outside and paint it. Another thing too is get something small like this pick, because there's like this webbing here that is, I guess, to let water go down through and stuff. But the problem is, I got my brush there earlier and was cleaning all that out and hit it 2 or 3 times with the brush and scrubbed it, got most of it, but there were actually rocks and some little pieces of branches and stuff. This car sat on a tree for a while, and I used this to dig down in there and pick out those little pieces, then hit it with air again, and it got everything out. So you want to make sure all that's out before you paint this, as you don't want to paint and then you find that and you see that you painted over it, and then you have, if it does move, you'll see like an old white ashy spot and you'll be mad after putting in all this work. All right, got the garage door closed there, so sorry for the loud noise. Before I did it too, I also blew air through it again, checked it. I use this little denibbing rag here to denib it and make sure there's as little on as possible. Again, it's a rough plastic, so it's not gonna be perfect, but I only sprayed it 2 light coats right now. I went outside to do it. Obviously, I used those workhorses there outside. Here, it looks perfect, like legitimately perfect. I'm really happy. Say hi to my wife, who's on house arrest too with me. Well, actually, she actually works at the hospital, so.
I'm not on house arrest.
She's house arrest. You in house arrest?
No, I have to go to work at the hospital. I'm off today.
She probably already has the coronavirus and already gave it to me. But the smooth parts is where it's okay. So I'm gonna let it dry here. I'm a little worried. I wanna make sure it maybe lays flat. So I'm gonna wait 24 hours. You can see some here.
Put it on my furniture?
Huh? Yeah, put it on your furniture. This is way more important than your furniture. See there? That's not perfect. So we'll see how this turns out. I'm gonna let it dry, hit it again tomorrow, and hopefully that covers up. That gives me something to adhere to and stick to this time, and hopefully it lays out flat. All right, guys, so back over here, I wanted to show you guys the finished product with this. I am extremely happy with this. Again, what I used was Duplicolor's, trim paint and alcohol. I scuffed it a little bit in the high spots here, or these areas here, but this is Duplicolor trim paint. See if I can get it to perfectly focus here, but it is beautiful. Like, I am beyond impressed. Now you can see here a little line. Now again, you're supposed to have a rubber seal over this. I don't use it. I personally just put like bolts over these and hold this down instead. I don't like the rubber trim over this. I just don't think it looks that nice. Plus dirt, grime, everything gets stuck up under there. I don't know why, my OCD, it bugs me. So I just don't use it. I actually just put it down the basement. Up here, I'm trying to see if there's any spots that were like bad. I think it was over here. There was a spot where it kind of fish-eyed pretty bad, and it was my own fault because I spilt something on it. Right here. Yep. And I should have taped these off and I didn't. See if I can get this to focus. Right there. See that? See how bad that is there? That's me trying to get it to focus, and I'm under the shop light right now, so it's totally different too. And again, when the hood's closed, you only be able to see this part and up. The rest you won't be able to see, but if I zoom in here and get it really close, you can see it. Yeah, barely, but yeah. So I mean, to put into perspective, guys, this was, the paint for this was like $6 or $7, and you don't even use half a bottle. And that was with five light coats. I let it fully dry. The first 2 coats for 24 hours, and the last 3 coats I did the next day within 20 or 30 minutes of each coat. So within an hour and a half, I had the last 3 coats done. Then let it cure again over in 24 hours, and then I just put it on here just to see what it looks like. You can see over here on my car how mine looks. Again, I use those beauty washers up top there. I just think that looks nice. I think I'm gonna try something slightly different on her car just so it looks even nicer. Maybe some titanium stuff from the guys over at Bear Boost Performance. So decide what to do there, but I've always liked this. But now you can see where it's starting to come off. I didn't do it as well as I should have, unfortunately. You can see some of the water staining and stuff. Again, that comes down to my fault. I just didn't take my time with this, over 8 years ago. So, yep, hers should last a long, long time. Here's the rubber seal I was talking about. You see the dirt and grime that gets up under that over time, which is great for a daily driver, right? You don't want that going in your engine bay or whatever, but for pretty much, I guess, show cars or cars that get driven only on the weekends and don't really see rain, I just don't see the need for this, but I hold on to them just in case. Maybe down the road I want it, so down the basement this goes. And here's the paint again, duplicolor bumper coating. I think this is the older stuff too, so the new bottle looks slightly different. Nothing special, guys. Like, I mean, Advanced Auto, AutoZone, Walmart, I mean, everywhere really gets this stuff. And on that note, guys, that is it for today. I'm trying to get as much done as I can. Unfortunately, with this whole COVID-19 thing, it's really throwing a wrench to everything. Getting parts is much harder. Sean's car's still here. Just getting stuff has been a lot harder. Unfortunately, I do have good connections right now. I hope everyone's being safe during all this. My wife does work in the medical field. She works in labor and delivery. So, you know, no matter what, people are gonna be having kids. Babies are going to be born, so she has to go in. She's on that front line, sadly, and I don't like it, but that's part of being in the medical industry. So hope everyone else out there is safe. For anyone that's lost their job, you know, these are very tough times. I'm hoping the stimulus helps someone else out. I saw that, I believe it just passed. So these are crappy times. I hope people are able to make it through, and everything after this is happy. I'm hoping cruise week isn't canceled. That's one thing I'm like 99% sure is going to be canceled. I know some people said about, you know, what's the big deal with that? You know, we'll just go anyways. What I don't think people realize is, you know, they're unlike if they just canceled cruise week. It's not just that. All restaurants are closed. All bars are closed. Everything will be shut down, okay? And then they said, well, we can still cruise and meet. No, you can't. You can't gather more than 10 people, which means the police will now have even more power than they usually do at cruise week, and they'll show up and see you guys sitting around and go, nope, get out. So I don't know about you, but I really don't want to sit in a hotel room, can't go on the beach, can't hang out with my friends anywhere, can't go for a drive, can't do anything. So why would I want to go? I've gone for 10 years straight. I have never missed a year. This will be my 10th year. Even 2016, the weekend after cruise week was my wedding. You know, the weekend before you're supposed to be with your wife helping and stuff, I still went to cruise week. Nothing has ever messed up my cruise week plans, ever. Until this. So it's 50 days away as of right now, but the way things are going, I don't see it going away anytime soon. Things aren't getting better, things aren't stabilizing. So yeah. Again, guys, I digress there. Don't ramble a little bit. Hope everyone stays safe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.